Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty, a member of the Senate Banking, Housing, Foreign Relations, Appropriations, and Rules Committees, covering it all of what we're talking about this morning. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I want to get your take on how you're going to work through this, Senator. I mean, you've got the House now firmly on board with President Trump's ideas to do one package, but then you've got those New York lawmakers and California lawmakers that are insisting the SALT cap get lifted and that be in the package for them to buy in on the border. And now you've got the new element of raising the debt ceiling, which you just heard Ron Johnson say he's not going to vote for. How do you get everybody on board and be united and pass Trump's agenda, sir?
Well, that's precisely the challenge, Maria, but I'm confident we'll do it. I tell you, it was a great interview that you did with Speaker Johnson this weekend. And the best thing that I heard is the pace of play. I'm not particularly hung up on the process, whether it's a one-step or a two-step process. My concern is that it be done quickly. And to hear Speaker Johnson say that he's got this targeted for early April, within the first 70, 80 days, I think that's exactly the pace that we need to be moving. As was stated earlier, certainly President Trump can do a number of things with executive orders to begin moving in the right direction. Clearly, another priority for us, Maria, is to get President Trump's cabinet in place. We're going to see right now whether the Democrats are going to work with us or not. We've got threats all around the world facing us right now, certainly even here on our own soil. We need to be getting the cabinet in place. We need to be working on the negotiations for this package, whether it comes in one or two pieces. I'm happy to do it in one big piece. I'd like to see us get this done, though, as quickly as possible. The American public needs it. Our economy needs it. The market is expecting it.
But is it realistic to put everything in one shot? I mean, look, I understand because voters just voted for tax cuts and they voted for border security. These are the two important issues, and I get that Trump wants that in one package. But when you consider all this other stuff, I mean, the more stuff you put in it, the more complicated it gets, right? So is it really realistic to tackle everything in one shot? And can you really realistically believe that's going to be in place by May?
Well, it's certainly, I know, frustrating to people who have very specific issues. For example, on the SALT tax, I'm from Tennessee, a low-tax state. I think it's very difficult for a lot of folks to say, look, we should be subsidizing, high tax and spend states like California, New York, et cetera. But that's part of the package that has to come together. We have to come together and unify as a nation. President Trump did a magnificent job of that in the election, bringing everyone together, getting, the mandate that he has. It's our turn now to act on that. And I've been frustrated with the size of the bills up here, Maria, since I arrived in Washington, 4,000-page bills. The fact is, we do this. And we need to figure out how to get as much as we possibly can accomplished. Again, I'm coming back to the beginning, as quickly as possible. The American people need it. Our economy needs it. Our national security needs it.
You know, yesterday we were talking about defense. Now that we're worried once again about terrorism in the United States, it gets us to thinking about the military. And I know the defense end of this and bulking up our military is also a priority for that first package. When you look at the Navy in the United States, how many Navy ships do we have versus how many China has and where they're going? What is your take on the appropriate money and support for the military that you're expecting?
Well, the most important thing to me with respect to our Pentagon and military is to get new leadership there. Pete Hegseth is working his way through the process right now. I've been supporting him all along the way. We have got to get new leadership at the Pentagon focused again on lethality and competence, away from DEI and pronouns. There's a huge problem in terms of retention, recruitment. Again, the men and women that serve in the Pentagon are doing this to protect our nation. They're not here for the many reasons that the Biden administration has completely covered them with respect to DEI initiatives. We've got to get back to the basics. That's going to be the most important aspect of our lethality. Then I think we need to take a very critical look at the entire procurement process, Maria. The inefficiencies there are enormous. The fact that Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk are going to take a hard look at this through the DOGE initiative, I think is way overdue. We've got tremendous technology here in the United States. We need to figure out how to deploy that rapidly here at the most important time, I think, that we faced as a nation from a national security standpoint. There's a lot of process work that needs to happen here that should go along with a look at our overall budget needs.
Let me get get your take on this story in the Washington Post, Senator, because the Post is reporting that President-elect Trump's aides are now looking to scale back Trump's tariff threats. The Post reporting that the team is moving away from imposing universal tariffs on everything brought into the country and instead placing tariffs only on certain sectors deemed critical to national or economic security. I mean, Senator, this is what we expected anyway, by the way. I mean, the media made such a huge deal over the tariffs and Trump's plans, but I always expected that it would be targeted, that it would be about national security. Do you see this as a major change? I think markets are rallying on this story.
Maria, you and I both know that President Trump is an expert negotiator. I'll say this. He's the president that has imposed tariffs. He did it in his first administration. The 232, the 301 tariffs. President Trump is not hesitant to support tariffs where appropriate. I'm not going to get ahead of him because he's going to do the negotiation in terms of where he feels the most important strategic application of these tariffs should be. But let's face it, we've got a huge issue in terms of our trading partners. So many of them have better deals than we do. We go back in history, right back to World War II. We made very advantageous trade deals with countries whose economies have been devastated in Europe, Japan. But we should have time limited those. We should have put some sort of GDP per capita limit. Instead, they still enjoy much more advantageous trade terms than we do. We need to get to reciprocity. That's what President Trump has always said. He will be strategic in this process. Again, I'm not going to get ahead of him in terms of exactly how he's going to do it, but I'll say this. He has done it, he will do it, and he's going to use this to America's advantage.
So tell me when you believe we'll actually start seeing an impact from all of these changes, Senator, because I think that the deregulation is going to be a big part of this. We're going to actually see an impact on the economy, but that can happen through executive orders, right? How many executive orders are you expecting, and when do you think we start feeling an impact from new policy changes?
On the number of executive orders, Maria, I'm not sure, except I think they're working very hard. There are a number of them in the hopper right now. They're going to be implemented at a very rapid pace. The damage that the Biden administration has done over the past 4 years is beyond anything I could have imagined in terms of what it's done to our economy, our national security, frankly, the psyche of this nation. So President Trump will be putting forward executive orders, I'm sure, at a dramatic pace. But the other fact of this is the results have already begun to happen. You saw Masa's son commit to $100 billion of investment here in the United States before President Trump has even taken office on a national security front. You see our partners overseas stepping up their national security expenditures. The UK is stepping up to 2.5% of its GDP on defense. You see the EU saying now maybe we should buy U.S. LNG and supplant Russian LNG. These things are happening already. So before President Trump has even come into office, we're seeing the results.
Real quick before you go, Senator, your thoughts on Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, about to step down? And also got to get your thought on Japan suing the U.S. U.S. Steel wants to sue the U.S. government and Joe Biden's administration because they're blocking the U.S. Steel Nippon Japan deal.
Well, on the Trudeau situation, I'm not surprised at all. I think it's rather funny that President Trump is far more popular than President Trudeau in Canada right now. I think Trudeau's seeing the landscape here and realizing he has no chance for success. Socialism isn't working. It's not working around the globe, Maria, and we're seeing it at our neighbor in the north. With respect to the Nippon Steel deal, very complex. Let's remember, Nippon Steel has got a history of problems with trade here, trade infractions here in the United States. The United States has got to think strategically about assets like steel production. And I think President Trump's going to be in a position to address this. Biden has already taken a move. We'll see how President Trump takes it as well.
All right, Senator, always great to catch up. We so appreciate your time this morning. Thank you, sir. Senator